So Ekansh and I are at the Declassified exhibition, which is Professor Vishwajyoti Ghosh's course regarding engaging with the Ashokan archives in a visual form. These are the posters that the class have made, 5 or 6 different posters. 7 different posters at the entrance of the exhibition.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go inside, Ekansh.
Yes, let's go inside.
Alright, so we start here with our first set of assignments, which had the students work on our first point of contact with the archives. What we wanted to ideate once we were introduced to the archives through this course or before that. So the first half of this room is all about our first engagements with the archive, what we, how we reacted when we were first there.
Yes, essentially each person in the class is responsible for 2 art pieces that went up for 2 stalls. Like Eddie said, the first half is our interactions with the archive. First, introduction and first impressions of it. Alright, go on. Kiri, do you want to explain this one?
Sure. So this is Malvika's work. She's done a series of graphics. You can see she's kind of photoshopped Manmohan Singh's face onto a buff body.
Yes.
Things like that, just going through using the archive. Should we go that way? Okay.
Yes, this is Manya's project. So we've got actually multiple Manyas in the course. So this is specifically Manya Mishra's project, hence the M. This is a
comic.
Hand-drawn comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a hand-drawn comic about the archive. So a big recurring theme here was nobody knew about the archive or where it was or what purpose it served. So this is everybody's first interactions. Hence the name. ASHOKA has an archive.
Yeah, now this is my piece. So my interaction was with the archives website, which is what you can see at the top with the screenshots of the website. And I just wanted to ideate myself kind of falling in free fall in a sense of confusion. So I've created a tall scroll and it just kind of encapsulates the scope of the project that we've undertaken, and it lands at the bottom on the Ashokan buildings, which kind of roots us back the fact that it is Ashoka's archive, not just any archives. Yeah. Next, we have another set of comics. These ones are by Dia.
So Dia's done some really pretty color work. This is Dia's individual project. This is digitally discovering the Ashoka archives. I think that's what makes hers slightly different from everybody else's. That she was able to only do it digitally, which is her experience of the website. This is Vipanshi's project.
Vipanshi's project is mainly the video you can see on the laptop there. She's made her nose, she's made like a mind map of Princess Diana's life, towards the end of her life.
Yeah, this is the annotations and everything have to do with, this is a child's perspective on this as they go through Princess Diana's letters, what a child would think, like how essentially this entire document would come into being. Right, and what questions this raises, it's about that.
Yeah, and the video form is kind of takes you through it step by step with the scrolling text. It's really interestingly done. It's not very, it's very rough. It allows her to really explore how she's gone about it on the inside with her mind. And then up here are the screen caps of this video. Just Next is Manya Tandon's comic. She's done another comic herself where she's got a document from the archives of the main character, which is really interesting. And she's worked with it graphically. She's got a title there which looks like the Archie's logo. She's made multiple copies. Again, just in black and white, really simple but really powerful, I think also. You want to talk about this one? We'll talk about yours next.
Yeah, I'll talk about mine next.
This is Manya Vasisht's mind map again to do with Princess Diana. She's tried to use, not just the paper, but the entire board with the threads going around, looping around. And it's really interesting because I feel like this is what a lot of us think about when you think about archives, about history, about, trying to use that to piece together history, is that this is kind of how it comes into our minds. So this is a very, this is at the beginning of all our steps towards kind of getting towards our ideas. It really captures that.
So the next exhibit, this is my exhibit. It's in the form of a comic book, which is called Night at the Archive, the ASS Archive. Essentially, this project, this comic book was made about the Ashoka Secret Society, something I was part of briefly, which also ended with me interacting with the archive through it. It was just, I think, I'd like to think that I had an experience that was slightly unconventional because I went to the archive for just, hanging out with friends and fun, etc. And that was my first impression. However, it was quite interesting. We did a lot of things that we didn't think we'd do, and things that we did not expect to see there. And yeah, my idea of what the archive was extremely twisted because of my first experience. And this is a graphic representation of everything that I could do.
Then we have Soham and Aditi's pieces, which are again comics, but set in a. They're created not using illustration, but using photography and capturing the frames and messing around with that. Soham's is, Soham's is focused on memory. It's focused on how you can explore the past, and of course that is the key part of the archive. And it's similar for Aditi's project. It's called the Babushka, which has a fictional character. You can see in the cover art, which is also in the posters outside. It's about a kind of a conspiracy that the Babushka is present in important moments such as John F. Kennedy's assassination. Since when you walk into the archives, one of the main illustrations there is of one of the main pieces there is of Kennedy and his interactions with Indian government officials. Yeah. Then we should move to these two next in the center. Right. So Jyotika's made this, and she's called it the splicer. It's like a puzzle. So these are all pieces which can come apart, and her idea is to kind of just time people going through it. And then it's the first. We have a couple of these. It's the first piece which really engages people, has them doing things, right?
We've got a few really fun, really engaging these things are like projects are actually. This one actually is very interesting because it's a group activity. There's other solo stuff also that you can look at.
So I'm doing a video game which is focused on. We'll come to that. That's part of the second project.
Yes.
There's a video game. There's a card game over there in the back. So a lot of different things.
Let's take him to the next one then.
Yeah, on to project 2.
Exhibit. Yeah.
This one. Okay.
So this is, I think, Gauri's. Yes, this is Gauri's. It's called Behind Closed Doors. It is there is very minimal amount of text. This is really powerful imagery. She's, I think, digitally drawn every single thing that you see here, and she's also published in the form of a photo book, which in itself, like, the work is really nice. It's really detailed work. It's very simple, very minimal work, and like you can see, no colors. It's just a grayscale project, but it's phenomenally done. Really, really good art.
Yeah. Not this yet, we should move to project 2. Okay, so this is part of the second project. This is again mine. The second project was more particular. It had to do with us picking up a particular artifact from the archive and then using that to create some art.
Killed.
Yeah.
Katie really killed this.
Thank you. So I chose this. So the idea is that Professor Radhakrishnan's lectures and speeches are present in the archives. And I wanted to explore how they're stored there, given that they're audio, right? It's not going to be text. So I wanted to make a music album cover because I think that again combines the audio with the visual. This is why I use this. I use graphic art to create this, and I've borrowed Professor Ghosh's vinyl records and pasted them with my sticker, and that is what you see here. Ikansh, do you want to walk us through yours over there?
Yes, let's actually do. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do mine. Actually, now that Soham is here, this is another one of our interactive exhibits. Soham, can you talk about your? Can you talk into the mic?
It's a small pixel.
The mic is
here.
Yeah.
It's a small pixel narrative game made using this online generator called Bitsy. It's based on material from the archives, from the partition, interviews that this scholar called Ritu Menon took with people who witnessed or survived partition, and it's on the theme of like the violence that women had to go through during partition and the coerced suicides that they had to suffer. Yeah.
Professor Ranjit is really enjoying himself right now playing the video game.
Yeah, he's. Okay, let's actually do these also.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. This is another one of our interactive exhibits. This is by Vipanshi.
And Manya.
And Manya Vashisht. So for our projects, we could either do projects individually or together. Some people did them as teams. This is an example of one of those. This is Sankalp. It's about architecture that's specific to India, to the Indian subcontinent.
Yeah, but the special part is that it combines all the different subcultures of architecture.
Yeah,
so it's
so
got
this is-
aspects of Mughal architecture, of Sikh architecture,
Yes.
and they've used that to kind of map out a history
can-
of architecture.
You can see individual elements of the monument that they've finally created. You can see individual elements, you can see how they fit into it. And it's just extremely detailed work. They've done such really fine work and it comes together to form the final monument that we saw. It's
Yeah,
it's
they
just
really-
crazy good work. So pretty. Look,
They really pick up on the view of history as, you know, layers and of stacking on top of each other.
yes,
Comes across
very
well.
interesting means also. This
To the
was
left
incredible.
is to the left is then Anika and Jyotika's second project, which is a stop motion film based off Girish Karnad's works, and it's really interesting because it is very different from what the rest of us have done.
What sort of curse is this? Half boy, half horse? Kalima, please help me.
What do you want now?
Mother Nature, if you don't help me, I'll chop off my head.
Go somewhere else.
Mother, make me complete.
Hey, are you new here?
Bunny, don't you recognize me? It's me, Tayu.
What?
Yes, but I have one solo. I still have this human voice.
Let me tell you what you want to do. Where do most horses live? In neighborhoods.
No, the stop motion film again done very well. They've got the the background that they used here, the characters that they used here. It's really interesting to kind of have the film format once again.
Yeah.
Akash, on to yours.
Yes, okay. So this is my second exhibit. This is my friend Tanvi. So, okay, actually I'll also walk you through my thing. So essentially everybody's responsible for two works. The second work that everybody did had to do with, it basically had to do with something that's from the archive. So, any piece of work that already exists in it. So the thing that I picked for mine was an article from the Hoot archives called Manufacturing Hindutva. It was an article criticizing sensationalist journalism practices. Yeah. And it was just, so essentially it was an interview that a mainstream, really big investigative journalist did of some terror suspects, and it was just essentially a really bad site because they were denied access to doctors, lawyers, and their family, but they were forced onto national television for an interview. Obviously, really charged language was used. They were demonized quite a bit, and this was before they were found guilty of anything specifically. So from that article, I derived all these rules, which essentially this whole thing compiles in the form of a propaganda cookbook, right? This is for tyrants, for budding tyrants, right?
We have a quiz.
Yes, and I've got a little quiz of are you tyrant material? So depending on how you answer this, you're going to be one of these kinds.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Right, Malvika? Oh,
Yeah, Malvika's is next.
yeah?
Okay.
Yes, can you just... This is Malvika's second
Just
project.
hold it. So I've taken Kamla Das's poetry, which often deals with themes of health and illness and death, which reminded me a lot of my grandfather, who has dementia and Wernicke's aphasia. So what I've done is that I've taken her poetry, 3 poems. One is a kind of fishing. The second is old people out on a Sunday, and then the third is Alzheimer's. And I've created a parallel narrative using visuals for her poetry. Yeah. Do I flip through it?
This is Malaka's.
No. Fair. Whatever. Obviously, ये सब में मैंने जो अटैक करती है मतलब गेम का बिना पूरा गेम टेक्स्ट बेस्ड ही है गेम डायलॉग है गेम एक बस एक्सक्यूज है कि तुम्हें फोर्स कर रहा है
Thanks, Malaka. Okay, next is Aditi's exhibit. Aditi seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Gauri also?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Aditi and Gauri collaborated on this.
Based on Lakshmi Cycle papers, they call it an intertemporal narrative, which is very similar to the first. So interesting to see them build off it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of elements in that little black folder that they have over there.
Damn. They did some very fun work actually.
Yeah. Again, a very, has to be interacted with by the audience when they're looking at it. It's really interesting again. Yeah. A lot of different papers, a lot of different elements in this as well. A letter here, like up on a postcard. Some images that they've, used, they've photoshopped themselves into. This one opens up, you can see then photos, which again, Aditya has photoshopped himself into. So they've used they've used photography and then digital editing to kind of weave themselves into this entire situation. Okay, next we have Manat Tandon's.
Yeah, we've got Manya Tandon's now.
A really interesting one based on the Qutub Minar, the files of which are found in the M.N. Deshpande collection regarding its architecture. She's used cutout, she's used this background to kind of create an image of the Qutub Minar in its many different forms, given how iconic it is.
Yeah, what it's been used for, how culturally significant it's been recently.
A lot of different iterations of its representation. You have the cutouts there, you have the ink blots here, you have more over there. The big what is the Qutub Minar standing out on the wall as well, which is, catches your eye
That's
for
actually
sure.
great. That actually fully got my attention immediately.
A really, really fun exhibit, I think, this one. Next are Mani Mishra and Dia's card game, which is really interesting. They've based it off a story from the Manorama collection. They've taken the story of the,
The two stocks, I think. Two cranes. It's the crane with two heads, right? Yeah, it's the crane with two heads.
It's a codependency game, which is really, it's a really interesting concept for them to use. Because it's the kind of game where there is no winner, you can only really lose.
Yeah, and you both lose together.
Yeah, and the cards are really prettily designed. Like they're really pleasant to look at. They've got different colors. Inspired from Uno, I'm sure. Inspired from a lot of card games. But it picks up on the elements from this very, very short story. And despite how small the story is, they've packed a punch in how in the impact they're able to get from it. So I think a really fun exhibit, this one as well. And then last, we've got the feedback stall and the postcards.
No, we actually have another.
I missed out.
You've done? Come.
This is
Yes, and this is.
Anika's from the first one.
Yes, this is Anika's first submission. It's the Odyssey of an Old Box. This essentially tries to trace the journey of something that found itself eventually in the archive. It's actually a really fun concept. It's because it talks about how the archive essentially immortalizes just text, right? Just information. And but before this immortalization that happens, there's a whole journey where it's very vulnerable to destruction. So for a piece of work to make it to the archive, right, it's a big win for just the world, because information is a pretty big part, and knowledge is a pretty big part of the world. And so it reaching safely to the archive, important, which is why a roadmap is very pretty. She's thrown in monuments over here. There's lots of symbolism in terms of there's lots of just symbolism of India and everything.
Yeah.
So
it goes to show how significant it is that we have the material that we've been working on. All of that which is here, it takes all of this to get it to us. I think it's really impressive in that sense.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think that
The tour ends with the feedback. We can have Professor Ranjit write some feedback for us on camera.
yes, please do, and get your free complimentary postcard from.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people come and enjoy the exhibition on the last couple of days. And it's been a great experience to see people really enjoying what we've put together.
Professor? 1 second. So Professor Ranjit wanted to shoot like a thing. So we wanted to also ask you how your experience with,
My experience with you guys.
yeah, with us, with the exhibition, what you liked, what you didn't like.
I love my students. They are God's gift to Ashoka, and I'm learning from them. And I'm a humble student, and I hope to learn more from them as we go by. I'm glad that they took up this course. I'm thankful, indebted, grateful to them.